Welcome everyone. Today we'll have a special countdown video and also a comparison video for patch 2.3. So as you can see in the background behind me, I have prepared a detailed Excel between 4 different characters, between Eula, Albedo, Itto, and also Noel. So what is going to happen in this video is that we're going to look at some of the patch 2.3 maintenance countdowns because we know the patch will be coming tomorrow, and this will show us the maintenance starting time and also the exact maintenance ending time. After that, we'll have a look at some of the very interesting and also things to do for patch 2.3, and this will definitely include the double banner. So what I want to do on the second part of this video is to highlight a detailed character comparison on the upcoming characters that you might be wishing in the game. Depending on a new player or maybe a veteran player, what are the stats, the roles, and also abilities you should be aware of, and also how good those characters are getting you more primal gems in the spiral breeze, and also for the long-term usage and other considerations. We'll also briefly talk about the other characters that will be coming into the game with patch 2.4 and also 2.5. We'll briefly talk about those. And finally, a small reminder about not overspending in gacha games, no matter how much the hype is during the update. Now today's video is sponsored by Dungeon Fighter Online, a lovely free-to-play multiplayer online game. As of the November 23rd update, the 5th female Slayer character advancement, Spectre, will be released into the game. On a journey of vengeance, Spectre is a highly mobile character that uses her blade in a combination of fast sword strikes. She is also equipped with specialized wires to provide extra speed and also stealth. Now the original female Slayer advancement includes Swordmaster, Demon Slayer, Vagabond, and also Dark Templar. So if you guys haven't tried Dungeon Fighter Online before, it is a really good time to start, as there are tons of new events for new and also returning players, like the Spectre Leveling Up event, for leveling bonus and also rare gifts, the Newbie Welcome event to allow players to team up with veteran players for bonus, loot, and also benefits. There are also tons of other events that rewards players for just logging into the game. And finally, there is also a limited time coupon code that will become available after the update, and this provides the players with a adorable dragon pet. So make sure to use this code on the screen when you guys start the game. So as you guys know, the maintenance for patch 2.3 will start in a few hours, and in order to prepare us for the maintenance, I usually make 2 maintenance countdown timers. So the maintenance time is about 6 AM China time, which is about 9 AM Australia time. So this countdown timer will adjust to your time zone as well. So what you can do is, once you come to the countdown timer, make sure you refresh the countdown timer. It will show you the time when the maintenance starts. The maintenance will take 5 hours, and this will give us 300 primal gems. And usually guys, the maintenance will end at about 4 hours, between 4 and 5 hours. So if you really want to play the game when it starts, when it finishes, you can come maybe half hour before this end timer. Usually companies want to change the time a little earlier, so make sure players come in different times, other than all the players come at the same time when the maintenance finishes. So that's why they try to aim to finish the maintenance a little earlier. Now as we know, this particular patch will come with a double banner between Albedo and also Eula, and there are a number of other features, including the new artifacts and also the new, the Wolf Lord, and also the golden, the golden Wolf Lord, and also a number of new features which will be highlighted in the patch. So what I want to do briefly is to highlight some of the features that will be quite nice in the patch, and then we're going to go into the details of the comparison Excel. So as we know, there's the double banner. There's also likely going to be new content of the island with the Wolf Boss or the Golden Wolf Lord, which is a boss that actually takes additional geo damage. Which of course this is a patch for the geo characters, so that's not a very big surprise, right? There's also a new domain for 2 different artifacts, and we'll go through those artifacts in details with equipping them on different characters, because I do plan to spend a lot of reason on those artifacts. There's also the new major event, which gives us a particular sword that increases defense, which can be very good for our battle. But this is a 3-part event, and this event, if we come over here, this event will take the time from the 25th of November up to the 4th of December. So this event will take a while, I guess, in terms of the event duration, when it starts from Act 1 up to Act 3. So we can't get all the items up on the starting of the event. And as we keep going, we know that there will be new achievements to be looted in the game, which comes about 100, 200, or 300 primal gems. There will also be 2 new hangout stories, which will provide about 60 primal gems for each of those. And also there will be an event which unlocks the existing zone for the Dragon Spine to make more events and also more scenarios and also more monsters. Finally, there's a special gadget which allows us to catch little animals. So those are for me the highlights for patch 2.3. And of course, the bigger highlight will be in the geo banner focus. So this is where we're going to come now. Now coming to this a little more comprehensive Excel comparison. You might have seen a similar Excel in the past about comparing different characters, and I find it very useful talking about the characters depending on the element and also on the stats. So over here we're comparing between Eula, Albedo, Itto, and also Noel. And if we come into the game, I also have those characters set up. Well, I don't have Itto, so I have Zonli as a replacement. So you can see my characters over here. And what we want to do is, we want to look at the characters of their base stats. So the stats over here before they added. We want to look at those stats and also everything else that is related to the characters. And this will help us to understand those characters as to whether you want this character for a particular reason or how you want to use those characters. So coming over to the characters, and we're setting all the base level of the stats together. And what we can see is Eula is going to be a cryo character plus versing all the 3 geo characters. And depending on the resource, this will also affect the character synergies and how you use those characters. Now, right away we can see as to Eula, we can see that her HP is considered to be a little higher compared to the other 3 characters, and it's about 13,000. Usually for the DPS characters, HP is not a big factor. But for characters like Zonli over here, HP will be a big factor because the higher HP he has, the more variety of defensive capacities his shield will be, and also more damage he deals with the burst ultimate. And this is a similar case for Hu Tao. So for Eula's case, her base HP is not the biggest matter, but what's quite highly is her base attack. Her base attack at the starting levels is 342, which is one of the highest for the DPS characters. Now, if we compare her with Albedo, Itto, or Noel, now I'll explain why I have Noel as a comparison too very soon. So those characters, Albedo and Itto, are characters that are focused on defense, so their base attack is not very high. Usually 5-star characters tend to have base attack over 300 for DPS character. Albedo is a defensive DPS support, and his defense is about 876. For Itto, he is going to be an offensive character that uses defensive stats as his defense as main source of damage. So his base attack is actually really low, and this ideally pushes him away from using attack percentage artifacts. He will be using a variety of defense percentage artifacts with the new artifacts, and it's really high. It's about 959, which is, close to 100 higher than Albedo, who is already very high in defense in the game. Finally, you might be wondering, why am I comparing those 3 5-star characters with Noel? Because Noel is one of the characters we always have since the start of the game as, the starter banners, and also Noel is a character that can be very flexible and very good at Concentration 6. So I think I want to do her just in comparing her flexibilities, because she is actually free-to-play friendly, and also her Concentration 6 makes her very powerful. What I also want to do when the patch comes out, I want to get my Noel to level 90 and level her abilities up to have a better comparison for you guys visually in the game. Because I think her artifacts and all the other artifacts for Itto and also Albedo can be shared between those characters. So there isn't a waste of resource pretty much for me if I level her up and I try to test her out between Itto and also her when he becomes available. Now in terms of the bonus stats when you ascend the characters to level 90, Eula over here will gain critical damage, while Itto will gain critical rate. So what we can see is those are the 2 best stats for the damage dealing characters. So Eula and also Itto do have some of the best bonus for dealing the highest damage. Albedo on the other hand will gain 28.8% geo damage, while Noel will only gain 30% of defense. So in terms of stats, the 38.4% critical damage and also 24.2% critical rate are considered to be more valuable for the characters who want to do high damage. Now if we come over to the practical use of those characters, the roles of Eula and also Itto are pretty straightforward. She is the first physical damage dealing 5-star character, while Itto is going to be the first 5-star geo character that focuses on dealing damage, unlike Albedo or Zonli. So coming over to a bit of my personal ranking for the characters as in terms of their roles in dealing damage. I do feel like Eula is great in what she does, but there's a limitation to dealing physical damage, because in the spiral builds against the mages, against character with a shield, it's much better to do elemental damage over physical damage. This in comparison does put Itto to be a higher DPS compared to Eula, because he will be dealing geo damage, and also having the geo resonance effect, which I do highlight in terms of colors for the specialty for the characters. Notice how the characters with the highest stat was highlighted over here with Eula, and also Itto having the highest stats compared to most other characters. So as for the geo characters, having 2 geo characters will increase your damage dealt when you have a shield by 15%, and also lowers enemies' geo resistance. So those are really powerful geo synergies if you focus on a party of geo characters, which we'll talk about very soon. Now in terms of Albedo and also Noel, I have ranked him about 8.8 in terms of a damage dealing support, and because he's good, he can be flexible in most of the teams. But he's not as awesome as Venti, or maybe not as great as Zhongli, so he didn't go over 9 for me. I think the characters that go over 9 can also be used in multiple parties. Except Itto though. Itto really do want to be focused on a team of geo characters, which this can be one of his less flexible, downside in terms of the DPS character. Finally, we have Noel. And why did I rank Noel as 8.5 so highly? Is that for a beginner player, or player who's at the very start of the game trying to push for the spiral boost, try to get a little more additional primal gems, Noel can be a cost-efficient way of doing damage, having a support, and also having a healer at the same time. So Noel is more focused on beginner characters or beginner players who wants to focus on the 4 stars because they might not have the 5 stars in the game. In terms of resonance, Eula's resonance having 2 cryo characters is very powerful because everyone wants to have the bonus critical rate for dealing damage. And this is why the Eula banner also came together with the Rosaria on her banner. As for the resonance for the geo characters, we all know this after the Zhongli, the buff to the geo characters and also buff to Zhongli, the geo characters became incredibly powerful by themselves. But the downside is they only had Negron as the main geo DPS, and Negron is only a 4 star. So Itto will definitely shine over here, and that's why I had a highlight over here for Itto, because he will benefit the most having the geo buff and having multiple geo characters on the team. As for the cooldown reduction, why is cooldown important? Because the lower cooldown is, the more energy particles you can generate, and this helps towards in casting a burst ultimate. And for your burst ultimate, the lower the cooldown is, the lower the downtime is. For characters like Noel and also Itto who use transformation, it is quite important for them to have the lowest downtime, because the majority of their, the highest damage will come from the burst spell. So we can see Eula have a 4 to 7 second elemental E spell, Albedo have a 4 second elemental E spell, which means his E spell of the Lotus will have 100% uptime. Itto's burst spell is about 18 seconds, while Noel's burst spell is about 15 seconds, so those are the transformation. Now with Noel, if you do get her to higher constellations, you can effectively have 100% uptime with the burst spell, given that she's got enough energy. So this is very important. She needs also to have enough energy. And to gain energy, she can use her elemental E spell, which is not the highest, because not the best. Her shield is 24 second cooldown. So to gain energy for characters like Noel or Itto that wants to stay on the field, you can have characters like Albedo, Goro, or maybe Zhongli to cast the geo structures, and those will trigger elemental effect to give you elemental energy. Now one of the highlights for Eula and also Albedo is that they are amazing utility passive. So for Eula and also Albedo, if we come into the game, I'll show you guys over here in the game, which is actually a very good utility passive. It is the ability to give you chance to double the product of crafting. And those crafting materials, either takes a lot of time to farm for them, for the talent materials, or for, Albedo's case, the weapon accessory materials will cost risen. So having those abilities is very powerful because, you save risen, you save time in the game. Now compared to Itto and also Noel, who have a less, direct impact in the game, so you get double numbers with Itto, you also get a chance to double the defensive dish with Noel. So the utility ability is definitely better with Eula and also Albedo. Those characters will be, a time saver in the game and also a massive resource saver. And Albedo was considered to be one of the best for the ability to give you a surprisingly good amount of items when you get lucky with 10%. Now if we come to the comparison of the constellation of the characters, we know most of the 5-star characters do want you to spend for higher constellations. But surprisingly enough, for Eula, Albedo, and also Itto for me, those characters doesn't seem to be a very good value for spending your money for higher constellations. Yes, Eula and also Itto will increase the damage as they become high level, but compared to characters like Ayaka or compared to characters like, maybe Hu Tao, those constellations seems to be a little underwhelming in my perspective. I know, Itto gets a massive damage boost when he gets Constellation 6. I know that, each DPS character will get higher, spells and, higher talents. But just in your personal opinion, none of those characters seems to be better with Constellation except Noelle. Like, dramatically better that is. Noelle gains the ability to gain additional attack based on her defense, and also extend the duration of her burst ultimate. So in that sense, I'm actually preferring Noelle with high constellations, but because I don't think I'll be going for any of those characters to Constellation 1. For Albedo's case, his constellation actually increases his utility ability, increase energy regeneration, increase damage for the team, increase his own damage. But it does seem to be again a little underwhelming, not very cost efficient. So I actually don't recommend going any of the 5-star characters to higher constellations. Unless you do have a lot of money to spend though. But we'll talk about the spending part as well. So in terms of the Spiral Abuse usage, currently the Spiral Abuse in the game is targeted towards optimizing characters of, benefiting players who want to have the geo characters or want to have the physical characters. So you can see here different phases of the Spiral Abuse for patch 2.3 is focused on that way. This does make Eula more popular, and also Albedo and also Itto, Zhongli, Negron, Noelle, those characters will be beneficial in the current Spiral Abuse. So that's why I say the usage is medium to high. But in the future, as a personal experience, Eula is a character that I'm happy to replace with another DPS that comes into the game, and we'll talk about the replacement about her very soon. So that's why I say her usage is medium. She's not a must-have. For me, Albedo is great if I have him leveled up, but as you can see in the game, my Albedo is currently only level 60, so he is not level high enough to use in the Spiral Abuse. For Itto, I'm definitely trying to have him to level 90 as a good comparison as to the level 90 Noelle versus level 90 Itto. And that's why I think Itto will be very powerful, at least for this patch for the Spiral Abuse, because it's targeted towards making him stronger. But in the future, unless you run a Geo team that supports him, he needs at least 2 Geo characters, maybe Itto and also Zhongli, to make it work. So if you're only thinking of running Itto by himself as a Geo character, it's not going to be great, because having 2 multiple Geo characters, not only you get the resonance, you also get the additional energy gain. So Itto is less flexible in terms of a DPS. Let's say compared to someone like Hu Tao or compared to someone like the Luke or maybe Gang Yu. As for Noelle's case, again, she is more of a starting character for new players who want to get her to push for the higher constellations and also higher Spiral Abuse in the early 1 to 6 floors. Now, artifact choices for Eula is quite interesting, because when Eula came out, there also came a Plain Flow, the Pale Flame artifact set, which is the best in slot DPS physical artifact for Eula. And as for Albedo's case, he actually is very flexible. He can go with Arctic Pressure for the elemental damage bonus, he can go for the Tendency of the Millith for the 20% attack bonus, or he can go with the latest artifact, the Husk of Obliged Dreams, which increase defense and also geo damage by 24%. So this is when you can see I highlighted 3 different artifacts for those characters. So the Geo character over here do have a more flexibility for artifacts. You can go to boost your team's elemental, attack damage, or boost your own defense, which does come to a plus because this gives him more variety of gameplay. But the downside is you do have to spend more reason to farm those artifacts to get the perfect stats. So this takes a little bit of grind. Now finally, as for the monster fighting and also event flexibility, I do think all 3 of the 5-star characters are very great in what they do. Eula does pretty decent physical damage, and also she can debuff with cryo, she can reduce the resistance, and also Albedo is a great off-the-field support. He doesn't have to be on the field, he just have to cast his elemental spell, then he switch into a different character, which is great. As for Itto's case, I just love his animation. He summons a little bull, and also his massive mace when he transforms looks great. Noel again is a great starter for all range of activities, whether it's defending yourself against damage with shield, healing your team, and also dealing damage. So Noel is an all-round startup character, which does get better, guys. I'm still selling the new the Noel with Concentrate 6. When we get artifacts, the latest ones, we'll try her out. In terms of events, none of the characters are very fancy except Albedo, I think, because some events you might want to step up on his elevator, and similarly Itto can summon a little bull, so the geo structures seems to be more advantageous in events in certain scenarios. Now I know we compared a bit of the comeback varieties of the characters. Now what I want to highlight with you guys is, before you summon for those characters with your hard save Primogems, is that what about a power creep? What is the likelihood of this 5-star character getting replaced with a new character coming in the future? And some other considerations, whether you need a DPS character or if you need a supporting character, what you should consider. As for me personally, guys, I do think Eula have a less chance of being replaced, similar to Itto, for their role in the game. Eula is a physical 5-star damage dealing, and Itto is going to be a geo 5-star damage dealing. But in terms of the frequency of usage, I don't think physical characters have a best spot in the game right now, because they do not trigger elemental reactions. They also require at least one more character to be on the team to help them to deal more damage. For Eula's case, she actually wants more electro characters, because she herself is cryo for the superconduct. For Itto's case, he actually wants at least one geo support to increase his geo damage constantly and give him elemental particles. Now as for Albedo, he is more flexible and he can be on the team for the elemental mastery support. So I do think his in terms of utility is higher, but the replacement of Albedo is much higher too, because we have Anemo characters, we have a bunch of supporting characters that does different roles, whether it's increased damage, whether it's healing, or maybe increase your elemental mastery or lowers the enemy's resistance. So Albedo's role in terms of just doing damage and boosting the elemental mastery is not making him as tremendously better compared to Zhongli, because Zhongli also provides you with a massive shield. He also shoots a meteorite. We're talking about the Zhongli reruns. And finally, as for Noel, her replacement is too high because she's only a 4-star. But in terms of a starting character, she's okay. That's why I have my Noel to level 79. So you can see my Noel is level 79 because I did use her a bit at the start of the game. Now, for the personal appeals, I'll leave that to you guys. How would you find the characters in terms of animations, the character voice lines, and also the way they speak? But I guess to summarize the comparison, because we did go a little longer than usual for the comparison video because I get carried away in comparing the stats. For me, if you want a particular character that does well in what they do, Eula will be your girl for doing physical damage. Because who knows, there might be danger characters that buff the physical damage of the characters, and that can be a rise of Eula, because she is best at what she does. And similarly for Itto, what we're going to see is he's going to be a very powerful geo DPS in terms of having the whole team surrounding him. There's Zhongli, there's Goro, there's Albedo, there's Noel. There's a lot of characters that can surround him to protect him with shield, to give him increased damage and lower the enemy resistance. So I do think Itto will be great at what he does as well. In terms of support, I do think Albedo and also Noel are pretty flexible, but Noel is free, right? So if you need a support that gives you everything, you can still go with Noel. But Albedo, I will be using him. But the thing is, it's his elevator versus the pillar of Zhongli. You guys know what I mean, right? So Albedo will summon elevator, and you can step on the elevator, and Zhongli can summon a pillar. So it's how you guys want to see it. Both of them actually give the same height, surprisingly enough, but they do different things though. So I do think in terms of supporting characters, not just for the damage, it's also for the utility, because you'll be climbing, you'll be going to different places. So both elevators and also Zhongli's pillar can be very useful. Currently, I do have Eula, Albedo, and also Noel. My Noel is Concentrate 6. So what I can do when a patch drops, I can compare all 3 characters and try to build all 3 of my characters. And when Itto drops, I can give you guys a great variety comparison of how those characters work. Oh, one more thing though. Eula does have the potential to be a support, a semi-support, because she can lower the enemy's cryo and also physical resistance. But for Itto's case, I don't think it can become a support. So yeah, this is the uncertain part. And in terms of summoning for Itto, I do believe I will summon for Itto, but I will only go with Constellation 0. And this will also give me the chance to get Goro. So once we have Goro, we can go with the 4-man Geo team and how to combine them, how to use them. So quite excited for that. Now, hopefully you guys found the comparison itself helpful. Usually I don't do this during countdown videos, but because I thought it's a double patch banner and a double banner patch, I really want to give you guys a better comparison if you are planning to summon for those characters. Because you're kind of using a Paramo gems, whether for Eula, for Albedo, or maybe for Itto, at least for this patch. So I want to, do a little more for you guys on this particular part before the patch and after the patch starts. Now, something do keep in mind, guys, is the upcoming characters for patch 2.4. There's Shenhei and also Yunjun that is just revealed, which is a Cryo Poem character 5-star and likely a 4-star Geo Poem character, which again, this is hinting in the future it will be the game rerun and also shell rerun, likely 2.4 or 2.5. I'll make a roadmap video about that, but I want to show you guys what characters are coming just so you know and you can know the characters you're comparing, upcoming characters and also the reruns. Very likely, guys, they will be the Archon reruns, including the Geo Archon, Zhongli, the Anemo Archon with Venti, and also the Electro Archon with Raiden. So those are definitely coming. I don't even need to predict that. This is the biggest money-making reruns for the game. And finally, they will likely gonna be Yamiko and also another new character likely to come in patch 2.5 or 2.6. And then this will slowly push us to patch 3.0 with new cities, new zones, and also new puzzles to solve, which are likely going to be very difficult because the new Archon is the Denju Archon and she is the Archon of Wisdom. That was a lot to talk about. I haven't been recording for this long for a while. And also finally, I do want to give you guys another reminder. Because it's a new patch, you're going to see a lot of videos, people are going to show you like how strong Itto is. It's like, hey, Matt says he's not great with constellations. Why is people going for Constellation 6 of Itto? And Constellation 6 Albedo, Constellation 6 Eula? People will go for that because, it's content creating, it's videos, it's promotion, and people will do that. But I still recommend to not overspend in the game. And there's 2 ways to overspend. One is to save your promo gems. Because if you still have your Primo gems, you don't have to spend money. That's simple enough, right? The second thing is to plan ahead. If you know what characters you're looking for, if you know the roles of the characters, if you want a DPS character for a certain element, if you want a supporting character for a certain healing role or maybe shielding role, if you know those, you can plan ahead. For characters like Zhongli, characters like, Venti, they will be coming in the future. So it's best that we resist now and don't spend with the whole rush. If you spend too much Primo gems in the game and if you don't get lucky, this is when people start to impulse spending. So I do urge you to think about how much you want to spend in the game and plan your budget ahead. Nowadays, I haven't spent much in the game. For each of the patch, I spend about $10 or $5 maximum for the battle pass or maybe just for the monthly card. So again, I do want to encourage you guys to not spend too much in the gacha games because those reruns will come and there will be more characters and new characters to come. Now, if you found this video helpful, make sure you subscribe and also turn the little bell on for the latest news. I'll be looking towards to make more builds, guides, tips, and news and event updates for us as we come further into the game. And as always, I wish you guys the best of luck with Genshin and have the most fun in exploring this wonderful world.